Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamey Daddy channel. So today we're going to have a short conversation talking about some things that span from my last video where I'm proposing that the developers need to consider bringing the Eagle Bearer to the open world. Now, I know, I'm beating this horse super dead, but I think it's very important because I see an opportunity here and I feel like it will benefit a host of people. So let's do a little, throwback to the Division 1 days, and let's look at a few things from there. So remember my conversation about the Eagle Bearer, and when I talked about why I think the Eagle Bearer needs to be brought to the open world, at first I started that conversation with, this needs to be available for everybody. I remember I started this conversation over, a year ago, and I was talking about this, but I never really considered that perhaps it could be that the developers can just replace the exotic that's currently in the raid operation, Dark Hours. I mean, if you think about it, that raid right now, the volume of players that play it has dwindled since when it first came out. I mean, that's just a natural thing. A lot of people have gotten their, their exotic Eagle Bearer, they've gotten their blueprints, and maybe if they want to get the materials, they can go back in there from time to time. But those, gear items are already in the open world, so there's less of an incentive to go back. Unlike if they were to go ahead and put a new exotic item in there in the chest, then I can see how many people are going to be much more inclined to go in for that. But the throwback that I wanted to throw out here was the first Eagle Bearer in the Division game. Many of you who are Division 2 players for the first time, you probably do not know about the exotic from the Division 1 called the Warlord. This is the weapon that basically had the Eagle Bearer's talent basically redone to make the Eagle Bearer a much better weapon. So the Warlord has a talent called Play Rough. Damage taken is reduced by 20% while firing. The taken damage is applied when you stop firing. It's a very weird play on what we have as the tenacity buff right now, but the Eagle Bearer is just much more of a stronger, weapon in terms of that, if you get what I mean. So what they've done is they've just taken this weapon, they tweaked the class a little bit. The Warlord is under the assault rifle class here, as well as the Eagle Bearer, but there are slight variants in, pretty much their design and, all that weapon-ish talk that you guys talk about, but largely they are modifications of one another. And we've seen this happen in exotic weapons from the Division 1 basically getting a variation as a named item or just a regular talent in the Division 2, like the house, when you consider the apartment or when you consider all kinds of different fun stuff, you're going to see this stuff happen. Now, pretty much the question that I wanted to answer with this entire video is, if they were to release, the Eagle Bearer to the open world, I wanted to replace the raid with another exotic, what exotic would it be? Now, I did not come up with this question. This question came from somebody in my comment section. And I think they were trying to say, okay, you're proposing a potential solution, but how would this solution be implemented? I'm glad you asked. They just need to add snow to the Division 2 and everything's going to be, I'm just joking. You see how beautiful the snow is. The weapon that I'm proposing they add is a weapon along the lines of this exotic that's here called the Big Alejandro. Now, this weapon is basically, in my opinion, one of those really fun, insane weapons that we had in the Division 1. The Big Alejandro was quite unique for so many things. The very first thing was it was an LMG that had 1,000 RPM. The Bullet King, in my opinion, is kind of one of those weapons that slightly fell short of what the Big Alejandro could do, and I think they were trying to replicate it but still rein it in, because there's so many ways that this weapon could have been really busted if you brought it in Division 2 without considering a lot of parameters. Also, you have this talent called, cover shooter. Every bullet fired at an enemy from cover increases weapon damage by 0.5% up to 50%. The bonus lasts for 10 seconds, and getting a kill with this weapon while in cover resets the duration. The bonus damage is cancelled by reloading, swapping weapons, or exiting combat. That was a way to kind of rein this weapon in so it didn't get out of hand in PvP. But then there was also another side to the story. We had a gear set classified called Lone Star. The Lone Star classified gear set had a proc that was a kind of a 25-75% chance on the 6-piece talent called the Berserker. And this says when a weapon has 50% of its magazine remaining in combat, there's a 75% chance to receive a bonus that activates when the final bullet is fired from the current magazine. Once activated, the magazine is instantly refilled, weapon damage and fire rate are increased by 30%, and the bonus is cancelled by reloading, swapping weapons, or exiting combat. This was another way that you could really get this talent, the Big Alejandro, to really scale. But the Big Alejandro's base damage compared to other LMGs was quite low if you look at the way, things are. It didn't necessarily scale up to some of the, really serious, like, look at the MG5, which was doing base of 21k. RPM was a little low. So if you look at your, I think your Bullet King right now is on the MG5 system, but that was how you could rein in the Big Alejandro. But what if the developers took this and didn't necessarily copy and paste it, but did a play on it and actually replaced it as the exotic weapon in Operation Dark Hours? I think this is really going to make a big difference. And they can also put a PvP stopgap and a PvE modifier to the weapon on release, because this way, unless they're trying to do what I've suspected them of doing a long time ago, which is create something that is extremely overpowered and then create some relevance for them to go in and do some maintenance, which is something that they've been accused for, but I really do honestly think they do it a lot. Let's melt these fools. The weapon handling for this weapon was quite challenging. But look at that. I got that. Oh, look at that. Look at that buff. Look at that buff. I got 30% increased damage, and I also got 30% rate of fire as well. So that's the buff that I'm talking about if you use Lone Star and the Big Alejandro. What if they could make something where you don't even need the Lone Star, but you get that buff proc on your LMG with all the damage that you're doing, while they put a stopgap, like I just said, on the PvP side, and put this in Dark Hours, substituting the Eagle Bearer for a weapon like this? I genuinely think now that the game right now has a place where LMGs are also a favorite class, just like almost every other class, honestly, I think we've gone to a place where weapon balance is actually pretty good in the Division 2. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I just said that. But you'll see that, players are going to be willing to get into the raid and be happy to actually do this. And they can recycle the content for years to come down the road without having to deal with the potential Division 3, but rather keep the game fresh, keeping the systems and the mechanics in place, and then taking their time to develop map expansions and other aspects of replayable content within the game. I think this is a very good situation for them. This is a win-win if you think about all of this. Now, back to the whole talk about the Eagle Bearer. I can understand that this is a matter of maybe some people having a different ideology. Like, well, some people need to work. I've seen the comments, and I've said this before because I laugh and I'm like, yes, I definitely understand a merit-based system. Ask the people that know what I do for my day job. They will tell you that I am somebody who definitely needs for the merit-based system to be applied in almost every facet of life, and even in my work, and even in the situations that I have to deal with daily. But I also have to, put in mind that this is a video game. That's where things kind of happen, where the rules get bent, and the rules cannot necessarily always be what you want to follow every time. Yes, this game is built on hard, fast rules, like the physics involved, like all the other stuff that's there in the game. I can understand that. But I also look at the fun aspect, and I'm looking at longevity, I'm looking at relevance, and I'm looking at all kinds of other fun stuff. So I hope I've been able to, put that point across. That's just one idea for an exotic weapon, by the way. I know there are many, many other ideas that, the developers can basically take. They can make spin-offs, in regard to that. Because right now, exotics in the Division 2, actually, they're not necessarily very powerful. I think they're done well to keep balance and make them unique. But, I think what we've always understood about exotics in the Division game is they're actually stronger than everything else in their class. So maybe they need to kind of do some work on them. But when it comes to exotic gear pieces, definitely Division 2 beats Division 1 hands down. Because if you notice, we're only running classifieds here in the Division 1. You don't really wear your exotics. I mean, what are you going to wear? Think about it. Maybe you're going to wear the exotic gloves, but Colonel Bliss holster was pretty much a failed project, in my opinion, and all that good stuff. All right, I'll get out of here. Thank you so much for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys a lot. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Peace out.